Hello, hello. Welcome everybody to the RWA World and Wolf Web 3 Twitter space. We're excited to have you all here. How are you doing, Cade?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing very well. Got to chat with Ray for a little bit earlier today. Reinvigorated my soul. We did a little bit of vision casting, some vibing out, so I had a great time. So I'm super excited to talk about RWAs. I also made a video the other day on open force protocol, so I dove deep into the RWA world, man.
Yeah, OFP, they're a great group. They're doing some really cool stuff, and I know Ray's really passionate about that stuff. So why don't we get started? This is Tyler Sherwin from behind the RWA World account. Ray, how are you doing today?
Yo, amazing people. I'm doing fantastic. Ready to talk about some tokenized assets. We've had a wonderful Q1, and it seems like it's only up from here, unless Gary has anything to say about it, but that's neither here nor there. There's inevitabilities all over. So let's kick it off.
Let's do it. And before we get started, I'd like to do some quick maintenance. If you are here on the stage and you are one of our speakers, Be prepared for a couple of questions we'll be sending your way. We're going to keep it a bit of an open dialogue and discussion today. But if you're somebody who's supposed to be on this stage and you are not yet, please do send in your requests. It's hard to check DMs on the fly, but DM me if you're not on the stage and you need to be. Let us know. And then also be sure to add a comment below. Let us know what you're excited to talk about today in the RWA space. And please do repost this space right now. I'm going to watch the reposts live, and I would love to see this number go up. We have a lot of people here in the audience. Really grateful for you all to be here. Please do retweet out the space. And then, yeah, let's get started, Ray.
Heck yeah, super stoked to kick things off. So let's just go around the room. What we'll do a little roundtable introduction. That way everyone has a chance to learn about the amazing people we have up here today and the fantastic stuff they're working on. So let's just go ahead and go around the room. We have 3 questions for you. What's your name? What are you working on? And what is your favorite thing about tokenized real-world assets right now? So I'm going to go ahead and pass it to the first person I see on the stage here, which would be Vinay. Vinay, there's 3 questions for you. Who are you? What are you working on? And what is your favorite thing about tokenized assets right now?
So, Vinay Gupta, CEO of Materium, and I project managed the Ethereum launch in 2015. We do the legal side of real world assets as a service for other companies in the space and individuals selling assets. And I am currently getting very excited about gold.
Awesome. That has been a very powerful trend for, look at my watch here, a couple of 1,000 years now. Definitely you cannot beat gold. So we have to dig it out of the ground somehow. So very exciting stuff. And really excited to learn more about what you're working on at Materium. Going to keep going around the room here. Let me pass the torch over to Fidgetal. Fidgetal, same questions. Your name, what you're working on, and what gets you stoked about real world assets?
Fidgetal. Popcorn. Liquidity.
That has to be the most succinct reply we've gotten thus far. Also, if we can tokenize the way to get popcorn out of people's teeth, I think we would have a lot more popcorn enjoyers. I know I tend to curve the popcorn enjoyment due to the fact that I end up working more on the teeth aspect than the enjoying of the popcorn. So, any tips and tricks?
I haven't not burned a bag in like 7 bags now. I'm 2 boxes deep, so I need to work on this.
That is definitely a record. And when you patent that tech, let me know. I mean, I'd be happy to collab on that. But let's keep going around the room here. Fantastic stuff. Alex, same questions to you, my brother. What are you up to? Tell us who you are, what you're working on, and your favorite thing about tokenized assets thus far.
Yeah, sure thing. My name is Alex Velitis. I'm the co-founder and COO of Chateau Capital. We're bringing institutional grade private debt, equity, and derivatives on chain for anyone to invest in just a few clicks. And I think the thing I'm most excited about with RWAs, which really fits the latest GameStop narrative, is on-chain equities. I think equities are objectively the most exciting asset class out there in the modern financial system. I think GameStop proves it. And one of the biggest issues people have with GameStop is the system it's built on. People can arbitrarily halt it. It's opaque. The little guy gets screwed over and over. And I'm looking forward to a day very soon when we're going to be doing those public equities on chain as well as private equities.
Very exciting stuff. Although you did fail to mention the most beautiful part of GameStop. You can bring them $3,765 worth of video games, and they will give you $18.95 towards your next game. So hopefully we can tokenize a little bit of fair equity since indeed equities are exciting, but I definitely want more equity in my games that I turn into those guys. So exciting stuff there. And we're going to keep rolling around the room here. We have Timons on the stage. Timons, tell us, what are you up to? Who are you? What are you working on? And what is your favorite thing about tokenized real world assets?
Hi, Ray. Hi, Tyler. Great to be here with you guys. So my name is Steven. I'm running Timons. Timons is the largest Web3 marketplace for tokenized real-world diamonds. We are bringing diamonds to the blockchain, adding the added value of transparency, traceability for every asset that we are bringing to the game. Basically, we have a fully functional project on Ethereum. It's end-to-end, so it goes from mine. The diamonds comes from the mine, the natural diamonds, and goes until the owners. So you can redeem the asset at any time the physical asset, and we'll deliver it to you anywhere in the world. So that's about diamonds. I hope we can talk more about that later. But now, what's exciting for me, I think, what happened already the last few months, we are really in an early stage RWA projects that we see popping out, and there's so much happening. And I think what's fantastic is, and what's super exciting for me, is how DeFi is going to be connected to our projects. And I see a lot of interesting stuff out there: fractionalization, lending, borrowing, just name them.
Boom. Very exciting stuff. DeFi diamonds. Diamond-fi? Is that a term? I think it should be a term. I think we're going to mint that on chain right now in this space. Diamond-fi. Diamonds is bringing it to you live. Very exciting stuff. I'm going to pass it over to Brett here in 1 second. But before we do that, let me just shake it up. If you see on the bottom right, you're going to see a little comment button on the space. Click that. And then if you'll go over and hit that little circular thing that's in the middle, that's called a repost. If we can get a repost, we have some Galaxy brains on the stage today, some amazing people who have volunteered their time and their expertise to be here to spread the knowledge of real world assets and tokenization. So if you will, give the space a like, give the space a repost. It helps us out immensely. And also make sure to follow everyone on stage. So with that in mind, let me pass the mic to BC Bread here. Bread, let us know, who are you? What are you up to? What are you working on? And what is your favorite thing about tokenized assets thus far?
GM fam, Brad here. Most recently, the ex-director of blockchain tech over at NFT Now. Currently working on essentially safeguarding AI agents using blockchain and anonymizing the users and abstracting them away from those agents and agentic systems. Um, my favorite thing about, dude, I mean, RWAs, like, I mean, we're talking about diamonds, right? De Beer has been using the blockchain for supply chain management for their diamonds for a few years now, and so I think that's a really cool way to kind of look at RWAs. It might not actually be like the asset itself, like the physical diamond itself, but its provenance and it's essentially ethical sourcing and things like that, and being able to have like a digital document that provides undeniable proof that it was ethically sourced. It only changed hands 3 times. It was bought by this jeweler and then resold for this much. I mean, having a real history and attestations on those luxury goods and luxury assets, I guess. I think that's going to be a really cool use case for RWAs.
1000%. Sounds like we have some diamond enjoyers in the chat, and that's definitely also been a thing. As Benet mentioned, gold, diamonds are as well forever. Those things are kind of hard to break. I mean, they're a 10 out of 10 hardness scale, so don't go punching those. We like our hands intact. So super exciting stuff there. And also, if anyone's seen the movie The Matrix, we want to make sure that the agents, like Agent Smith, are abstracted away from us fleshy people. They're pretty tough. So very exciting stuff, and super stoked that y'all are with us here today. So let's go ahead and keep going around the room. Unlocked Finance, I see you on the stage here. Thanks so much for coming out. Same question to you. Who are you? What are you working on? And what do you love about real world assets?
GM. So we are Unlocked. We are the leading permissionless lending protocol for real world assets. We're working on building the main DeFi protocol to unlock liquidity for real world assets and integrating with more and more partners. Today we have about 12 active partners ranging from diamonds, real estate, collectibles, all sorts of watches and cards. But we want to basically make it easy to borrow against any real world asset on chain. And we're extremely excited about the real world asset tokenization space, and particularly about bridging all these new collectibles and new asset classes that are developing offline, like bags, watches, a lot of these collectibles that are super trendy now, and taking them on chain. We believe this is the biggest opportunity there is today, and that's going to take a lot of normal retail people into the blockchain and really help us growing and bringing a lot of new users. So super excited about the momentum we're seeing now and how everyone is hearing more and more about real world assets these days.
Absolutely fantastic. And I have to agree 100%. It definitely gets around the intrinsic value question when you tell people, hey, you know that old Charizard card, Ray, that you used to have, and you maybe had 2 of them, if you remember correctly, and now you don't know where they are? Totally a personal story there, but yeah, if we could tokenize those, get a fractional share of that, that's exciting stuff. It gets around the intrinsic value question. People know those things have values because it hurts when you can't find them when you go up in your parents' attic. At least that's my situation for sure. So super stoked to have you here with us today. Very excited. Also, next moving on, we have Seth on the stage. Seth, how are you, man? Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you're working on, and what gets you up in the morning and excited about real world assets.
Let me take this in reverse order. The thing that gets me up in the morning is usually a heavy dose of caffeine and increasingly other nootropics to kind of help chase it down. What I'm working on lately has been building up BMG or Blocks Media Group, a consulting firm that I launched with a couple of partners. We advise some of the most impactful projects. I can't speak publicly about them, but I can tell you we've also done marketing contracts for top 10 market cap crypto projects. We are dialed into the North American tier 1 KOL scene, literally like no other, because that's where I come from. Previously, what I did was publish on YouTube, and that was my introduction to the space, was the user generated content side. But anyway, not to go too far down self promotion there. That's what I'm most excited about, is evaluating projects for viability, helping them discover whether or not they're currently deployable, and helping them position their product in a more attractive way, both to retail and to institutional money. So I'm really excited to be here and hear about what everybody else is excited about. In terms of stuff that's going to get me excited about getting out of bed tomorrow in the real world asset space, well, I don't know, maybe give it another couple months or years to cook. But if you can start tracking fine art as a real world asset, and we can start acknowledging not only that provenance is important, but that we also begin to establish a system of ranking forgeries, because they're out there, right? And they're dominant in the fine art collection space. If we can just acknowledge that they're there and begin to right size that market through real world.
Oh no, did he rug? Is it me?
Nope.
I think he rugged.
Oh no.
Nope, I just mic dropped. No, just mic dropped. That was a dramatic effect.
I was worried somebody forged.
Into ranking forgery. I got long-term dream of having a gallery of the world's best forgeries. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
World's best forgeries gallery. It'd be
That
the
would be
best.
Right. Well, that's the thing. If you enter the homes of high net worth people, quite often in their living room, that's exactly what you've done, is visit the gallery of the world's best forgeries. They don't keep it out in public for display, in many cases.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
And
that's why we have 70% of that the entire industry. All of the 70% of it is forgeries now. So
that's astounding.
Yeah.
Astounding proportions.
The gallery, right click save.
Practically, yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Also, when you have fine artists, somebody who's extremely promising and extremely talented, and you commission them to do a forgery, first off, they're flattered that you would allow them to completely mimic one of the masters, right? And the fact that they accomplish it is nothing to sneeze at. But also, if they're very accomplished, not the hardest thing in the world for them to do a really great forgery, and then only make some variations in the corners so that a proper curator will know. They'll be able to acknowledge it. It's also very common in these forgeries, but no, we're overloaded with forgeries.
That is super exciting. Would love to have my own forgery gallery potentially one day. Well, one thing's for sure, they're not going to be forging Bitcoins anytime soon, unless BlackRock finds a way to do some kind of accounting magic going on. Want to do a little bit of switch up here. Going to pass to the last three speakers, and then we'll just crack this thing open and dig into those kind of discussions, because we had a heck of a Q1. And these are the kind of conversations that we're all here for sure, to kind of delve a little bit deeper and see what the next leg up for real world assets is in terms of this exciting time that we're having with tokenization and interpolating physical things onto the chain. So really quickly, Tropic, how are you doing? Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you're working on, and what gets you stoked about these RWAs, as they're called.
Hey, how's it going? I am happy to be here, and I just like to podcast about this stuff. I've been in the space mostly bouncing around, going beyond JPEGs, right? That's like the saying that I always say, adding real world value. And that's the thing that makes me excited about RWAs, is because it's just an easy sell. It's not something that you have to explain what an NFT is or what a token is, what a blockchain is. It's just a simple sentence, something as, hey, this is something that makes it virtually impossible to counterfeit or forge things. And that's the thing that kind of makes me excited. The boring stuff, really, supply chains, counterfeits. And there's so many different angles on it, but just speaking to a lot of people on how they're fighting against even something as simple as like a fake Louis Vuitton bag using this technology, I think is just really cool to me.
No, 110%. Supply chains are really boring until they're not boring, right? I mean, you try to order some toilet paper in 2020 during the height of COVID, supply chains suddenly got very, very relevant and very, very interesting very quickly. So, really excited stuff. Super stoked that you're here with us today. All right, we got two more intros. Then let's crack back open this conversation on art and forgeries and all the Q1s and excited things that we're going to be talking about today. Jack, see you up here on the stage. One, how you doing? Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you're working on, and RWAs. What makes your heart thump when you think about them?
Perfect. Well, Jack's here. So I used to work at BlackRock and specifically the mortgage space. So I'm very excited about bringing on some of these like mortgages, treasuries, more of the traditional financial instruments on chain. So once Freddie and Fannie Mac are, or Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are, minting on chain, it will be a very exciting day. I got to say, I'm a little worried about all my fake Louis Vuitton bags and my fake Rothkos because if we start getting really good about this, people are going to look at me different.
I feel you on a spiritual level there, man. I have my Rolex, and I don't think the R is supposed to be missing one of the little legs. It's a Polex, but it still looks really good. And unless you're really looking close, it's kind of hard to tell. So I'm a bit concerned as well. But nevertheless, I still have, what is it? What do the kids call it? Swagger, I think is what they call it. Maybe potentially. I don't know. I think saying it like that deprecates it. But anyway, we have Lance on the stage. Let me pass the ball to you, Lance. How are you doing? Tell us a bit about yourself, what you're working on, and what gets you going for these RWAs.
I was going to say that I bet someone is going to find a way to use blockchain to make fake Louis Vuittons and forged or fake art cool and make them more valuable than the real thing somehow. I wouldn't doubt it if something like that even happened. But my name is Lance. I work in ecosystem development at XDC Foundation. Currently help with projects that are onboarding onto the network. What I'm most excited about is the new opportunities that are going to come from tokenization. There's a lot of new people coming into the space from traditional industries. So seeing what kind of new opportunities and new ways they think of, using the technology is something that's really interesting. Stuff around trade and supply chain we were talking about a little while ago are things that interest me around RWAs. And another thing I'm interested in watching is we talked about the blockchain being able to, prove something, right? It's there can only be one, but how is that data verified before it's on chain, right? Like I think those are things that we don't really talk about enough, and seeing the ways that that's done in the future is something that's interesting as well.
110%, and super stoked to dig in and learn more about what you guys are working on at XDC. So imagine if the one ring, right, that you said there's only one, imagine if they brought the ring to Mordor and it ended up being a fake ring. See, they need tokenization even over in the whatever land they're in.
That one would have become the one then.
Yeah, exactly. So exciting stuff. I'm super stoked to wait. I think we have one more person. Oh, yep, we got RWA World. Let me pass it over to Tyler behind the mic there. Tyler, tell us a little bit about who you are. What are you working on, and what gets RWA World excited about RWAs? I think we can put two and two together, but take it away, my brother.
Yeah, thanks, Ray. Well, this is Tyler behind the RWA World account, and very grateful to be co-hosting here with Wolf, as always, on every Thursday at 2 p.m. RWA World is the largest database of real-world asset projects that are helping you make sense of the space. It's very opaque, siloed, bifurcated, whatever other corporate words you might want to use to describe the RWA space, which is so many different players. We're currently at 390 projects listed in our database, and our goal is to make RWAs more clear and transparent. And so we have a weekly newsletter that we publish every single week that Ray does that is really phenomenal work. And the idea there is to help you stay on top of the latest developments and insights. And so one of the ways that we do that is we actually bring together some of the smartest people in the RWA space every single week here on this Twitter space every Thursday. So if you like this and you want us to do more of this, please do retweet, repost, and comment below any questions you'd like us to cover during the space. And this is the most packed space we've had, Ray. I'm super excited about it because I was counting. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 guests here today, which is such an exciting moment for us. Every single one of you has a unique perspective, and a couple of themes came up in a lot of the different intros as everybody was talking. I was thinking of starting off with a couple of these graphics that I put on the Jumbotron, and we'll get to those in a second. But there's a common theme of authentication and forgery in a lot of your opening remarks here today. And so I want to make sure everyone does get a chance to speak. And so we will make it a little bit more open today. And what I would love to start with is a very basic question is, how does tokenization improve the authentication process? Let's take it a little high level at first, so we can dive into it specifically. And if you want to also touch on how your solution can help in this area, we'll do that. So I see, wow, so polite. I love this. We're going to go in the order of the hands raised. So we're going to start with Timons first. Stephen, we'll start with you, and then we'll kick it to Seth. And then after that, we'll go to Brad, and then we'll open it up.
Thanks. So of course, I wanted to jump in here because there's a lot that we said about frauds and counterfeits and stuff like this. So one thing needs to be understood here. I think what I enjoy the most also in the RWA space is that we see for every different tokenization or real world assets, we see experts from different fields coming into the game. So let's say, speaking of me, I'm an expert in diamonds. I used to work for over 10 years in the diamond business. When you talk with, we heard a guy coming from BlackRock, we heard a guy coming from the gold industry, and so on and so on. And I think this is only the beauty of our space, that we have more and more experts coming and jumping into the space. What I wanted to mention here is, for us at Diamonds, it's nearly impossible. I must say it's 99.9% impossible to forge or to have counterfeits. Why? Because we have implemented and we are partnering with LCX. LCX, which is the Liechtenstein Crypto Exchange, is a physical validator. They have the physical validator license in Liechtenstein, and they act as a notary. So in fact, they will bridge between the Web 2 and the Web 3. They will authenticate and validate all the stones that we are sending to them. It is checked by experts to see that the stone is not stolen, is really there, has the GIA passport that is attached to it, etc., etc. Once this is done, they give us the stamp that it's validated, physically validated, and then we can lock it in a third-party vault where and then we will tokenize the assets. So basically, the process that we have implemented by partnering with LCX is a way of validating and ensuring our users that the assets are there and are real and are not counterfeits. So that was important for me to say.
Yes, thank you for pointing that out, Stephen. And the Liechtenstein protocol that you're referring to, LCX, there does create a really good custodial verification process. This is the thing about RWAs that has always fascinated me, which is this bridge between on-chain and off-chain. Passing it to you next, Seth.
Well, first off, I just wanted to mention that so far during my time in this space, I've not been wearing any pants. None of you can either prove or disprove that, regardless of who custodies me right now at this moment. Just wanted to make that, make that clear, okay? In case you had any other ideas. Okay, jokes aside, what Timons just mentioned, I love that. I'd love to build on it just briefly. As far as the core question of how tokenization helps with authentication, I think a more fundamental question is whether it does at all. Not how or to what extent, but does it at all? And I love what Timons just brought up, in that it doesn't, right? So it's the old computer science maxim, right? Garbage in, garbage out. It's just a database, and it only knows what we tell it. And so the cleanest possible data. I agree with the approach that Timons has mentioned, without directly endorsing LCX. Just to say, I've been on the steering committee of similar protocols and similar needs on the fine art and on the luxury goods tokenization side. So I won't mention any other names here. I don't think that does anybody here any help. But just to say, that motion that Timons laid out is absolutely necessary before tokenizing anything, because at least in the real world asset space, once you start to get into high net worth individuals and their desires for provenance and authentication, or just luxury goods, anything that has a larger sticker price, retail needs to be that demanding of quality when we get past a certain price. And I think, recently, seeing how badly the U.S. dollar has been inflated and the cost of everything has gone up, I think I think, inflation being sort of the hidden tax without representation, I think it kind of comes up. So the markets have a way of correcting for this, right? And that is that buyers get more picky, and they should be. So I love that Timon's brought up an extremely complex but necessary motion before tokenizing anything in the asset class. And I think we should be asking ourselves, how much of that is necessary across all other asset classes before we start to tokenize them as RWAs?
Well said. I couldn't agree more. And I want to come back to your comment around quality. But first, I'd like to take volunteers who would like to create an Oracle service to verify that Seth is in fact wearing pants. That could be
GPT-4o can do it. I'm
It's
convinced
too late.
GPT-4o can do
I've
it.
already jumped behind the DK snark. Now nobody will ever know.
There is a video feature to these AI spaces, I'm hearing.
Seth, you're going to have to step up your game. But yes, you made excellent points. I appreciated the comment around quality too. In fact, I'll just briefly point out on the Jumbotron, we put up a chart that was fascinating to us in terms of profitable narratives in the first quarter of this year. We saw that the most profitable narrative, of course, was meme coins. And quality is highly suspect in that category, of course. And there is, it's not to poo-poo every project, but, 99% of these are scams and rug pulls, right? And so when you look at quality and you think of RWAs and what is the potential there, I was actually extremely proud of our segment for getting second place in terms of most profitable narratives in the first quarter. So we can come back to that in a second. I'm going to kick it over to you, BC Bread. You're next.
Yeah, so when I was younger, right, I worked in an antique auction house for a while, repairing and fixing old antiques and stuff. But then also when we would have the auctions, helping essentially like, welcome people and hold things on the stage and stuff like that. And one of the funniest things was that, at that point, that's when I really learned the value of a COA, right? A certificate of authenticity, and it's just a piece of paper that's in a manila envelope on the back of a painting, 9 times out of 10. And through talking with some of the art curators that would be there, at that point, right, and this was back in 2006, maybe 2007, somewhere around there, right, and at that time there was still a serious scarcity of professionals that can verify any given work as being authentic, and looking at the signatures and making sure the signature isn't forged, and looking at the painting style and the strokes and what brush was used, and like all these like stuff that is just so intricate and takes so much time to do, right? And now if you just picked up a piece of artwork at a garage sale for $5 that you really believe might be worth $1 million, uh, who are you going to send it to? You're just going to stick that thing in the mail, and then wait several months to possibly get that same one back and not just a forgery. I mean, there's a lot of trust that has to happen in that entire flow from essentially having a piece of work to verifying it's authentic to having the signature or the certificate that has that particular inspector or whoever's signature on it. you know um Being that it needs a lot of trust, and essentially blockchain by nature is a trustless environment. I mean, there's ways to I really believe there's ways to manage that flow. But I guess it proposes the question, and I guess like would love to hear any thoughts on it really. Like, do you think that the RWAs and tokenized assets will essentially lead to more normie jobs in the realm of people that need to get certified to be, diamond inspectors for authenticity, or, oil paintings, or, designer lamps, statues, bags, watches? I mean, there aren't a whole lot of people out there that actually can verify it. And I really think that if RWAs take off on that sector, it will lead to more normie jobs.
Yeah, let's open that up to the panel. One quick comment from me on this is that I've been studying the SAB 121 issue for a long time now. I've been a banker for the last 3 years while doing blockchain stuff on the side. And having watched banks get shut out of the industry because of the staff accounting bulletin regulation that essentially prevents banks from custodying Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other digital assets for their customers without receiving a punitive accounting treatment, it has been wild to see how many jobs have been prevented that could have gone into a lot of these banks hiring a ton of people. I've watched entire bank departments get shut down because of this accounting regulation. And so let's ask the panel, we'll open this up to anybody. So in terms of tokenization, what BC Brett is talking about here is awesome. I love that you were part of that early opportunity to look at some of this stuff firsthand. Do we see potential for new jobs outside of the typical blockchain industry for verification and authentication of any number of different precious assets?
So I can speak a little to that. We do a fair amount of talking to the big vaulting companies, and for several of the big vaulting companies, literally just physically storing crypto keys, like cold wallets, is multiple percentages of their business. We've heard numbers as high as 10 or 12%. So crypto is already creating a bunch of physical world jobs.
Tropic.
I just want to throw it out really quick. It's something that's an interesting thought that I had for a while now, because when I first came to the space, started exploring different things, how this could be used in the real world. The first thing came to mind was properties. Okay, that's easy to verify because the property is not going to move. But then when I start to get smaller objects, and it's just interesting that I'm on stage with someone that's doing with diamonds, the question started to pop up with, okay, if this was verified, this is authenticated, this is on chain, but once it leaves that vault now for that second sale, it's going to create a problem in the sense that it would have to use a secondary, a human being to then verify and recompare and connect with the blockchain. Is that correct? Because that's a problem that I was thinking about for a good while. So I'm happy that you're on the stage and I could ask you that and kind of see what your thoughts are on that.
Sorry to jump in, but the whole idea is that the physical asset is not leaving the vault. So I can sell the asset to you as an NFT, and basically you'll get the tokenized asset. You can pass it, 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 you can pass it,